Hi everyone, this is the first presentation before Tuesday uh, in the upcoming 10K challenge. I want to get this video out first before the subsequent presentation, which is live tomorrow, Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. This presentation will just serve as a base. There will be some more slides added to it, but I just wanted to get something out today and get everybody ready for the challenge that starts on Tuesday. Yeah, 2 lemons there. That's the whole main idea of the challenge, and we'll talk about that in the content. So this is last week on Friday. We opened 2 positions in the $3,880 calls. I went from $160 to $27, which was pretty crazy. So basically risk 300 to make 7,000. And we've been finding a lot of these, and we are going to, there's a gap at 4,225 in the SPXE minis. So lots of opportunities to make some 10x trade, 10, 20, 50, 100x trades in this campaign. All right, so in the contents, we're going to talk about the underlying principle, the main reason why this is going to work, and then talk about the past performance in the last 10K challenges using the FANG stocks. And the data derived from that has now been used to simplify the current 10K challenge using the SPX, which we'll talk about. Trading psychology will also be touched on today. Application of the filters, what we're going to be using for the 10K challenge. Scheduling, I know there's a lot of people with 9 to 5 jobs, so we'll talk about that. We want to be in an agreement on when we're going to be focusing on these trade setups. Risk management, we'll talk about that, and start date, initial balance, and number of trades expectations, and then the alert protocol, SMS or Discord. And if you haven't registered, there will be a link provided at the end of this presentation. Sunday, there will, like I said, there's going to be a live presentation of this material with a little bit more detail. So at 6 o'clock p.m. Sunday, there will be a live Q&A session. If you have any questions to ask, probably you want to ask in the Q&A. The webinar link will be provided in the Discord main chat room, okay? Or I might even email it out. Yeah, so that's the example of the trade end. I noted here that the Wolf Wave setup was showing 15 to 20x move with a 40% probability, and that's kind of like the name of the game. Like when you get into these asymmetric moves, these big moves, they're not going to give you like 100% return. It's pretty tough to find that, but 40% is kind of like the name of the game. But obviously, we want to hope it works. So it is what it is. Okay, so the SPX 10K challenge. The underlying principle is very straightforward. It's the concept of the lemon. So, I mean, by definition, the lemon is used in the car sales industry. It's used to describe a car that's pretty much worthless. And I don't know about you, if you ever bought a brand new car before, if you get like a problem with that car, like any problem, let's say you have a major problem, car dealerships are not really the type where they're just gonna switch the car up with a brand new one. Okay, you actually have to go through a lot of pain, and the opportunity cost is huge to just get that car working again. Okay, and especially in the used car sales market, the seller, you don't know how much they bought the car for, and as a buyer, that's the problem with the buyer. They don't know, and all they see is the car that they desire. They see the price that they can afford, and then they're going to take that risk. Unfortunately, when the seller is selling, has the risk so high at market value, knowing the fact that the car is pretty much worthless, that poses a huge risk to the buyer. Okay, so that concept where the seller buys a lemon for super cheap and sells it to some buyer with disinformation, that's a huge amount of profit for the seller, right? If the seller is able to sell the car. Now, we're not doing anything unethical like that. But we want to appreciate that concept where we buy something small and we sell it for a huge amount of profit. So in the SPX, or in this challenge, that's the whole principle, is we want to buy something very, very tiny, like we don't want to risk too much, and then have the opportunity to make, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, right? So in this underlying principle, I've pretty much simplified the minimum limit of is 5x, and we want anything greater than 5x in this campaign, because if we can't find and trade into these setups, then we're not going to be able to make 10K, right? It just doesn't make sense to keep on getting these small little wins of 25%. We'll never reach 10K with a $400 balance if we're hitting RBIs of 25% return. But if you increase the risk, then maybe it's possible, right? But that's not the point. We want to take the smallest amount of risk and put ourselves into setups that output 5x, 10x, 20x most of the time. So in the previous 10K challenges, we used a lot of the tech stocks, because tech stocks have a high beta, and back in the day, tech stocks, there were a lot of stocks like Amazon trading at 3,000, Google's trading at 1,200, for example, and the past 4 challenges produced a decent result, and most of the people who participated did very well, and actually even signed up for other products that I provide. But in April, it didn't do too well, and all the information collected in this campaign helped me, guided me to move to a more simplified approach. This is the ledger of the campaign that happened in January 2023. And you can see the number of trades that we've taken. It was just way too many. We did produce profit, however, we had to make so many trades. And then look at the number of companies that we're trading. There was like 5: Tesla, Shopify, Roku, and even there was a SPY in there. And the initial net liquid here is 1,500. And the return, the position size was around $250 approximately, opening up 2 more contracts. All right, so let's go into the simplification. So you can see that in the ledger, there's just 5 tickers. It took about 33 trades just to get like a little bit more of a double. And in the last campaign, it just started not working out because I think the market was going in through a choppy period, and nothing really worked. So and then in the ledger, you can see that I also traded a lot of Tesla. Tesla was a very high beta moving stock along with Shopify, but they've all been split, and now that 10x potential has been pretty much removed. So I own Tesla. I'm not saying that Tesla's a bad company. I love my Model Y, and I'm sure the stock is going to do great. I think it's down like more than 80% this year. But yeah, 5 to 100 years later, I'm sure the stock and the company will do just fine. But right now, if you haven't noticed, you probably do notice that there's too much FUD, and everybody who is talking about Tesla or any company in the market is talking like they know what they have a lot of information about where it's going in the next 5 or 10 years. Okay, sure, they have a lot of information, but as the price of the Tesla stock continued to move lower, there was so much disinformation in social media that I finally realized that, I already knew, but I finally just had to just get with all the information about what the market's been doing, interest rates, and then looking at the social media for seeing what other people are thinking. It just doesn't make any sense to trade these stocks, especially when they're trading at $100 per share. So like I said, this is my daughter, and I own a Model Y Performance. I love the car. I don't really love the company But I mean, I'm sure I'm investing in it for the long term for her education. Government provides us 20% for every, $2,000-$3,000 we put in every year, contribute into her education fund every year, and then 20 years later she can take it out, and I'm sure the price will appreciate over time. But as traders, we don't have the luxury of waiting 19 years, right? We need to use all the resources and education and knowledge and apply it so that we can truncate that 19 years into 17 trades. So the SPX is trading at $3,000, almost $4,000 now, and that's what Amazon used to be trading back in the day. But they've all split. Okay, they've all split, and now the asymmetry has disappeared. You can't trade high beta stocks and expect like a 10% move on a $2,000 stock anymore. It's just completely gone. So we've got to move toward the SPX. And on top of that, the SPX doesn't have a lot of huge following. Like, you can't really talk about the SPX, right? It's just a basket of 500 stocks. But there's a lot of people who are talking about Tesla will 50x, and then you got Gary Black. Got nothing wrong with the guy, but it's just constant information that doesn't apply to traders. It just applies to people who are looking to hold this company for the next 20 years, and that's not me. Okay, and it's probably not you. It's probably for someone who's less than 1 year old. Okay, and Gary doesn't look like he's one anymore, and I don't think he's going to be around in 100 years. Here's an image of the Tesla, and again, Tesla. I got nothing against Tesla, but with all this information and people with credibility or whatever they know about their models, this guy has been like consistently wrong. And it's not saying that his information is wrong. It's just the market will do whatever it wants. Okay, and I kind of got fed up. Like, I read his tweets sometimes, and it just really doesn't have. There's a lot of information, but is that information valuable to a trader? And no, there's probably, in the amount of information he provides, maybe like 100 of the tweets, maybe one or two of those tweets have any value. Okay, but look here on October 28th, to the moon, and then it drops down like another 50%, right? There's no one, especially if you're like a hodler, this is just a typical hodler, and that's not what we need right now, especially in this type of market. So basically, there's too much FUD, and we need to move away from that. SPX is great because no one can produce a FUD on 500 stocks on the SPX. All they say is the market's crashing and the market's ripping, and that's basically what we need. We don't need to have people talking about the CEO selling the stock. We don't need to have people talking about this Twitter overhang stuff. We don't need to talk about read tweets about chief tweet is removed. None of that has any value to a trader, especially in this 10x challenge. We're trading based on price and volume now, and that's the most important. So the way that we simplified this campaign from the previous campaign is, first, we're trading one symbol, the SPX. So that removes 90% of the FUD. The only thing that they can talk about is just Jay Powell and interest rates, which is fine. And there's no CEO involvement. So FUD is completely removed when we're trading SPX. So that's great. We don't need to talk about a CEO. We don't need to talk about Twitter. We don't need to talk about anything other than just what the strength of the market. It's a four-digit underlying. Like I said before, Amazon, Google, Shopify, they've all been split. So there's not really a lot of four-digit underlying left in the market. And the other part about SPX is that it's 0 DTE every day now, which is huge. With the asymmetric character of the challenge, it allows us to define what a theoretical limit is in terms of stop loss. So basically the amount you risk which is going to be talked about at the end of the slide, which is $100, can go to zero, and you're still able to reach 10K. We're taking lesser trades. So you saw in the ledger, it took us about 32 trades just to get to like a double and a half. In this case, we are taking 17 trades or less to make it to 10,000. The risk has been reduced from 1,500 to 400, and again, just one symbol. So overall, the whole process and the 10K challenge has been reduced by orders of magnitudes than when we compare it to the previous challenge. Okay, drop from 1,500 to 400, 17 trades or less, one symbol, and FUD has been removed. This is great. The trading psychology is straightforward. So basically, the most important part is like if we miss a trade, you have to kind of control your mind and stop looking at the market and come back the next day. Okay, from what I've seen so far, there's been a lot of 10x trades every single day, and we want to find the one that has the right clean setup. So we're taking 10x trades, 10x, 5x to 20x potential trade setups using wolf waves. In case the wolf wave does not produce a setup for us and the market moves higher, then we just need to learn how to not trade that day and then just wait for the next day, because every single day there's a setup most of the time, and we want to just find one that has the right look to it. Okay, so maybe there's going to be a trade that produces 2x, 100x, 1x or 2x, 2x, 3x, and we miss it. Okay, that's fine, because it doesn't fit our criteria. We want 5x to 20x. And because we're starting with such a small account balance, the sensitivity level is quite high. So each trade really counts at the beginning. Even though the risk is not that high, because the balance is really small, we don't have a lot of bullets to fire. We've got about 5. So even though the risk we take on and then we lose it on $100, it's not the end of the world. It's just the number of bullets we have is very low, and we want to make sure we get the right shot at a trade that produces 5 to 20x. I know it's great to hit a trade that makes 2x, 3x, but if it doesn't, that's not that even though that is going to be like those type of wins are going to produce 10x in the long run, we want to do that in a shorter period of time, right? Think about the previous slide where I said, okay, if you're a stockholder of Tesla and it's down like 70%, how long is it going to take to get back to where it was like last year? It's going to take more than 3 to 5 years. Okay, and we don't have that time. I don't know if Gary Black has that much time, considering all the things that he's gone through, but my daughter can, right? My daughter can definitely handle 19 years, no problem, and probably not even know about Tesla after the 19th year. So it's a totally different game when we're doing the SPX challenge. We're strictly looking to truncate the time frame from 19 years to 17 trades. In conclusion, don't force a trade. So in case you all the trade alerts that I post has to be taken right away. And if you miss the trade, don't force a trade. Just get ready for the next day. I guess that's the trading psychology conclusion. If you miss the trade, don't take the trade. Wait till the next trade. The application of filters. So we're going to use wolf waves. That's the main indicator that's going to help us identify those asymmetric opportunities. We're using CumTix. That's going to help us determine the cumulative algorithm set that's either buying on the ask, bid, or mid. And it provides direction of the market up or down. We're going to use trend also to help us identify the choppiness of the intraday expectations of the intraday market price, and also the subsequent trend of the next trading day. And then a journal will be documented and provided in the next campaign. So for those who work a 9-to-5 job, it's important to schedule your trading day. Right, you're not sitting in front of the computer 6.5 hours. I hope you're not. You want to set a a reminder on when you're going to open up a trade or expect the trade to be alerted. Okay, so 80% of the trades are probably going to be alerted, especially on a red down day. At the in the last 2 hours of the trading day. Okay, so at around 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern time or 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific time, you want to be a little bit more sensitive to the alerts or the sounds of your phone or your computer, posting notifications, okay? Because that's where most of the trades are going to be taken. If the market is trading higher and it looks like we're trending higher, then you want to prepare your trades at between 6:30 a.m. Pacific time or 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, and then close those positions accordingly. I'm going to talk about that in the next slide. So if you're unable to trade the mornings, then what you want to do is you want to wait for those trade alerts to be posted or alerted at near the end of the day around 2 p.m. Eastern time or 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific time. Okay, so that's the trading schedule. So for example, if you don't want to trade the mornings, then just wait for the alert at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern time or 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Pacific time, and then get ready to trade that. Okay, and between 9:30 and 2 o'clock, just work your 9 to 5. Profit management. So when you get into a trade and you open up 2 contracts, what you want to do is you want to immediately sell to close one of those contracts or half of the position at a double, and then that would effectively leave the remaining contract and the risk cover the initial cost. Okay, so basically that the remaining half is free. And then if the remaining half, those contracts do not develop into a 5 to 20x, then you want to have a stop loss at 80% of the initial value at the time of when you opened it. So the remainder contract, if the contract that you have left open moves 5x, then it is recommended that you close the position. Okay, after you close the position, then you can use those profits again if you find that the market dips and there's another opportunity. That probably will not be posted like the intraday trades. We're only looking for the trades that are related to wolf wave setups that produce 5 to 20x. Anything you do after that trade and you decide to do intraday trading, that's up to you, right? But all the alerts that I'll be posting is mainly focused on just getting the account up to 10,000. Okay, so the start date, initial balance, and the number of trades. Like I said before, the start date is on January 10th, and expect to trade on the 10th. The starting balance is $400. The position size is 100, and the contract price range will be around 25 cents to $1. The nice thing about the 10K challenge is that everyone should start off with the same balance, and then as we grow the account, we'll increase the balance in the next campaign. In theory, the challenge should be done in 2 trades or less, 2 trades or more, but I've made it to up to 17. Okay, so whichever comes first. If we move up to 10K, then the challenge is over. So if we reach 10K within 10 trades, the challenge is over. And if we reach up to like 7,000 in 17 trades, then the campaign's over. Okay, so expect a margin of error around $5,000 from around 10,000. So from $10,000, which is the goal, a margin of error of plus or minus 5,000 is what I'm assuming. Okay, so here's my RBC account, and I funded it with Canadian dollars and then had that transferred into US dollars for exactly $400. This is what it looks like right now, and that's what I'm going to be trading that $400 account in. I do have other accounts, but this one I'm using because it's I haven't used it yet. Well, I used it for the tests. I did a couple of SPX trades to kind of determine if this is a challenge that I want to do. So in the past 3 weeks, I've been trading SPX in this account, and I'm pretty happy with the results. I took out the profits from the trades and then left only $400 in this account. Okay, so finally, we have the alert protocols. So if you already registered, I already have more than 25 people registered. Please email me with your phone number, your Discord ID to my personal email, so that when I decide to go SMS or email, I will have your information ready to go, and then a test period will happen on the 9th. Okay, so that everybody is on board. If you haven't registered, just follow the link there, purchase.tossoption.com/10K to register. If you don't register before January 10th, the price increases to $200, but I'm going to change it now to $500 because I think I have a pretty good shot at making $10,000 in this first campaign. Okay, and thank you very much, and I'll see everybody tomorrow, Sunday, 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time.